Okay, S1s, welcome back to Modern Studies with Mr. Clark, and as part of your social subjects. Obviously, you're looking at the India unit with social subjects, and today specifically we're looking at pollution in India. So what I'll do is I'll just present the screen full size. Where am I? Present. Let's get going. So your starter activity, and you will have your own copy of these slides exactly the same as this. And what you're going to do for your first task is just have a look at this picture and see if you can write down a caption, imagining this was a newspaper article. So you'll complete that in your box there. It's your own imagination. What's it showing? What's it all about? And write your caption down. You can do that. You can pause the video now and maybe complete that in your Google Doc, which you'll submit later on. And then your own ideas. So there's not a right or a wrong answer, but we'll see what you can come up with. So think about where it is, what's happening, what you could see, what you could hear, what you could smell. So think about your senses and what's going on there. Just a little sort of note. I mean, obviously, we're looking at pollution this lesson, and I've updated this a little bit since last year because obviously we've had a lockdown, we've had COVID-19, we're in our second lockdown now. But particularly, what we're thinking about here is people in India have been able to see the Himalayas for the first time in decades in some parts of India from 100 miles away in this example photograph taken from CNN, an American news source. And these images were shared all over Twitter and Facebook and most social media, as well as in the national news headlines. So it kind of showed you that how bad pollution has got in parts of India and other parts of the world. And some of those gases you might have been familiar with from the other units we've looked at in geography this year, so such as carbon dioxide or nitrous oxide. These gases that contribute to climate change, but they can also cause visual pollution that we're looking at here, as well as have health implications for people. The little article here, I'll make this a hyperlink. I want you to go and have a look at it as it shows you a little video and examples around Delhi of how different the landscape and the environment looked, or the city looked, just without vehicles having travelled around producing these fumes, or even factories running and or people burning fires to burn rubbish. So such a different sort of place, and the view just feeling quite different, and probably has a lot to do with people having a better mental health, and for some degree other things aren't getting in their way. Then if you have a nice environment you're living in, you feel better quite often. What's the point of this lesson? I want to find out some of the causes of air pollution and some of the impacts of it in India. And hopefully you can select some pieces of information to kind of do that, up to 3, and to understand how pollution affects children's rights. And I can use that information to help me write an extended piece of writing. And today you will be looking at a newspaper article and creating one. Pollution, what is it? Have a little look at this video link. It's on the presentation you've been given. Some key facts for you. There's also an infographic there, tells you a little bit about how India has the most polluted cities on Earth, and the average number of particulate matter, it means parts per million. So there's 2.5 parts per million of little microscopic particles in the air that you maybe can't even necessarily see close up, but when you see it as a view from afar, you can see this grey, hazy smog. And it gives you some of the kind of numbers in the side of this graph here as well. But 22 out of the 30 most polluted cities in the world are found in India, which is quite amazing, actually, that maybe they haven't managed to control this yet as a government. And they do have one of the largest populations in the world, second only to China. So India's polluted air killed more than 1.2 million people last year. It's been linked to their deaths. So what is causing the air pollution in India? I want you to answer this question on the next slide. And you've got space to do that here. And you can just delete this text and write in that box. So that's your second task, which includes your start task. Task 3, I'll have a little read of this article. I've also attached another copy of it, but you could expand this if you can't read this text yourselves. I'll let you do that yourself. So read the article, and it tells you it's from the Hindu Times, or Hindustan Times, and it's about air pollution killing a high number of children under 5 years old in India, and it's based on a World Health Organization report. So have a little read through that, the facts and the figures. Specific facts are really useful developing your answer. So you're going to find at least 3 pieces of information from this article, and try and take a note of those 3 pieces of information. I think the majority of you guys should be aiming for at least 4 or 5 pieces. The gold standard makes 5 pieces of information or facts from this about air pollution in India. So specific facts I talk about in geography is great for extending your writing, and something we're doing in modern studies just now too. Your extension question, if you feel you are finding that first task very easily, is to create 3 questions that you could ask someone about that article. And there's space to do that in the next slide as well. It says work, but it means the next slide. Think about, when you're doing this, the illnesses caused by pollution and why children are the most affected compared to adults. And the space there to do that work. If you need more space, duplicate that slide or add another slide and just add extra text as you need it. And the same goes for any other tasks you've been given today. Pollution and rights. So you're thinking, well, how does pollution affect the rights of a child or any adult's human rights? There's a sign there these girls are holding up. If you don't kill pollution, it'll kill you. And we'll have a little discussion about that. It affects children both inside your homes and outside. Obviously, inside you may not quite have quite as much. Some heavy particulate matter might not get through into the home, but there are gases and there are bits of particulate matter that do get into your home. And when you're in a really densely populated area, a place where there's a lot of people living, that's what that means. You would find that there is going to be more cars and more vehicles, and those fumes, if there's enough of them, build up in clouds, and they can come into your home. Poor children also live in homes which might not have a proper home as you see it. So they might live in a shanty town where air can easily get in and out of the home, wind even going through your home. So poor children live in home also with where you've got fires or wooden coal burners to cook on. So you've got an actual fire and smoke from that in your home. And it's not good for your lungs. It's not good for your what we call your respiratory system, the system in your body. You look at biology, used to help you breathe, your lungs, your throat, which is called your esophagus, and even your breathing canals. Schools are often closed to stop children leaving their homes because the air is deemed so toxic. So task 4, what rights do you think these children are losing? So delete the text here and you can write your answers there. It probably won't be very much. So what are they losing because of this? I'm not going to go into any more detail. I could give you an answer, but I want you to see what you come up with in that text. So you've got space there to add your text. Task 5 is a newspaper article. You've read one, so you've had a look at the Hindustan Times. An example article's got one sort of graphic or an infographic instead of a picture and some text. In your article, what you're going to be writing about is the idea that yesterday was the worst day for air pollution in India ever. Okay, so write a newspaper front page about the issue. So you want a bold, catchy headline. You want to tell me what the cause of the pollution is, who it's impacted or how it's impacted them, and some rights of the children. Within that, you can see there is an almost some success criteria phrase. I want the majority of you guys to be thinking about the sum. You should all be aiming for at least 3 bits of information in each section. And you can see an example on the top left hand of a blank one there. 3 examples and 3 pictures, diagrams. Okay, there is space on the next slide to do that. You can copy photos from online, drop them into these green boxes, or just hide the green boxes with a picture and type your own text in there. And you can change the font size to help it fit as you need to do that task. If you need any help with it, please feel free to get in touch with the Google Classroom, or add a comment, or if it's too difficult, you need a bit of extra help, I can provide some if you get in touch with me. The final task for this lesson effectively is for when we meet next time, and just be prepared to maybe tell me a little bit about a cause of pollution in India, its impact, an example, a specific fact, number, or a right being lost by children. We may well do a little Google quiz which might incorporate this as an alternative. Meanwhile, if you've got any questions, you know where I am, Google Classroom. You can add a comment to the assignment, or you can email me, or you can speak to me in the Google Meet about any questions you've got for this week's work. If you feel you need more work, I can give you some other things on this topic to have a look at, and some other extension tasks. So feel free to get in touch for that as well.